call that radio? You call that radio TV? No. You call that radio TV?
This is You Call That Radio.
This is You Call That Radio TV. And it's on a very important day. It's Inauguration Day over in America. I'm sure you've probably been watching it for a few years. And you're probably thinking, what's Mark think of this? What does Nigel Clark of Dodgy think about that? Because I would say arguably more important than Joe Biden's inauguration is Nigel Clark live on the show. I think we can go live to him just now. Nigel, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, man? You all right? Good to see you.
I'm very well, mate. Thank you very much for doing this today. It's an honour. Well, I don't know if you've been watching. I'm a bit tired today because I stayed up really late reading all the theories about what's going to happen today at the inauguration and stuff. And I sort of went down that rabbit hole. And then I've sort of been kind of watching it today and kind of half expecting some of the theories to happen. Obviously, they haven't because it was just made up by people on the internet. But I don't know, have you been following the saga over in America?
Oh yeah, of course I have. I mean, I don't think you can help it really. I mean, I watched the whole sort of storm in the Capitol building live. Like I knew, I was sat on the sofa in the safety of my sofa. The revolution will be streamed live to my sofa. But today I thought of I knew Trump's last day. I was glad to see the back of him. I just want some sort of positivity in the world, like we all do at the moment. We're all struggling with the massive changes that a pandemic has had on our careers, lives, everything, families, everybody. So it's just a little bit of light, and I'm glad that somebody who's rational and who's a thinker and not just playing towards the race card and xenophobic card and the sexist card. So I'm glad to see the back of the bastard, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a glimmer of hope, you think, then?
Absolutely. I mean, it couldn't be any worse. The last 4 years have been very painful. The last 4.5 years have been even more painful because of Brexit. But obviously that's now happened, and now we're all sort of licking our wounds and saying, did we do enough during that time to change it? But we were all taken by surprise, I think. The whole nation was taken by surprise about the Leave campaign. So here we are. We've left Europe.
Similar to Donald Trump in a sense that I think people were unaware of the targeted social media advertising that was going on in the background. So it did catch everyone by surprise because people were seeing a totally different view of things, completely being served up a totally different thing for the first time. So it was the first time that it's happened. And I've noticed that Roger Daltrey's in the news today. He was one of the people that said, let's not bring politics into music. We toured the EU before Brexit, and now he's just signed a letter. It looks like he's in a bit of a change of heart. I signed a letter saying that we need to do something about the touring visas.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, just going back to your first point, in my bubble, which we learned about bubbles. In my bubble, everybody was like me and thought, use their brain and use science to make their judgments rather than some fake news media like Fox News or some attribute or some right wing like Nigel Farage. So we can make our own minds up. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and so we end up in this place where we are. I mean, apparently, I saw that interview with Roger Daltrey, and, to be fair, to him, well, it can't be fair to him. I think he's an idiot. I think just by saying what he said was idiotic and selfish and not thinking about younger people in bands. He wouldn't have had his success if this was a situation of what's going on now with streaming, the way that artists and musicians are. I mean, it surprises me that anybody goes into it anymore as a sort of idea of some sort of occupation or sort of, because it's so difficult for people. I feel for people. We're all having to get second jobs and stuff like that at the moment, to sort of sort it out. But so be it. We're not going to get beaten by this bunch of cronies.
So it's a big, massive change. But it looks like we're still going through what the damage has been done with the touring visa situations. I did see one report that's saying it might not be as bad as it seemed with regards to the visas. But I mean, I think even if it's not going to be that as expensive to do it, just throwing in that extra bit of bureaucracy with filling out forms. I mean, man, it's such a big problem. I know I've never filled out a funding form, for example. I know that some musicians seem to be very good at doing that kind of thing, and then for other people it's more difficult. So it's just putting that extra barrier in. And, you know, for example, my band, it was on our bucket list to do for ages. And then when we realised that Brexit was coming, it was like, right, this is the last chance to do it. So we actually got booking a European tour, and then obviously COVID happened and kind of took that opportunity away. But, you know, it still made me just be doubly as determined to try and make it happen by hook or by crook. But I mean, as everyone that ever goes abroad just says that, you know, that in Europe, you're really well looked after in certain countries on Europe, that in a way that you're not in Britain.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've always found it really professional. You know, 9 times out of 10, very professional, really well looked after. I mean, admittedly, we haven't done many gigs abroad in Europe. We did a couple in Amsterdam and possibly a couple of festivals and stuff like that. But the market has shrunk, you know, generally because of streaming. It's a different world. I mean, we all rely on gigs. But I mean, I remember before the pandemic and still no one was going to gigs and stuff like that. It was still, you know, venues were struggling then. So, you know, everyone's going, oh, we really miss gigs. Well, do you? Do you know what I mean? Or what do you miss? You know, I've just got a bit cynical of it now. I just feel that, like, you know, it was hard before, it's harder now. You know, and the warning signs were there that, you know, this is a cancel culture by the Conservative Party. They're trying to cancel us out, and they're trying to lose our voice. The voice of songwriters and musicians through history have been leaders of our countries. And if you dumb that down, you're going to be led by Jacob Rees-Mogg and his type and the Etonians. And I don't really specifically want that. And I don't think the majority of people want that. But that's happening. You know, we look for leadership from our musicians. I think I look for leadership from Joe Strummer, you know, lots of people, Terry Hall, lots of songwriters, Bob Dylan, that enforced my beliefs in right and wrong. Bob Marley, John Lennon. You know, what happens? Where are those people now? You know, who are they? Who are the people that are leading? You know, it's just like they've just gone quiet, and they went quiet they're dead, but, you know, the ones that are alive just went quiet.
Let's not, we can't blame it on the dead ones, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying there is certain people that haven't been standing up. And also, I think there is like such an amazing wealth of younger talent coming through, but it's without having the money behind them, it tends to be there's just all these cult bands in little cities. Every city you go to, you'll find political bands and people making interesting stuff and, you know, with lots to say. But how do they get out of their city and into other cities without some sort of financial backing? Whether that, you know, it looks like there's just not, the record labels don't have the money anymore, or they're just not interested in anything that could be seen as controversial. And then you've got the streaming saga as well. We're just seeing that Gary Newman was saying that he got paid £37 for 1 million streams yesterday. But I mean, that can't be right. I mean, I'm assuming that, I don't know if he's just talking metaphorically, that he doesn't get very much money for it, or he's maybe got a manager or a label that's taking a big cut of it, because £37 for 1 million streams doesn't seem right, even by Spotify's ridiculous standards.
I don't know. Do you know what? I mean, I've always looked at royalty statements and gone, what's this? And what does it mean? Because they made it so confusing. The world of publishing and authorship and all those things are so confusing, and there's such a minefield for young people to get ripped off. And when I was young, I did get ripped off. You know I did. You know, the royalties that we were on were bad. And, you know, you learn. Now I'm on my own label, but I don't have the reach that I would have had with a major record. But at least I have control over what I do, when I do it, how I do it, and who I do it for. You know, and specifically, I can sort of just about make myself a business, because I try and do stuff. I'm trying to adapt to COVID rules. I had a tour booked for my album Make Believe Love, and here I am. I'm doing an online streaming gig tomorrow where I'll be playing some of the songs and some songs just to cheer people up and, you know, just show willing to get people together and communicate, you know, as one through Facebook or whatever.
It's the live streams have been really popular, man. I've tuned into a few of them. It's sounding great, and I suppose maybe it's rather than just sitting and doing nothing and waiting for things to get back. It's been great to watch you engage with your audience and play music. And have you found that? I mean, what about this new album, which is amazing, by the way? It really caught me by surprise. So much different influences and stuff. I mean, your first song is How Long Is Too Long? It's like 7.5 minutes long. So I think it's quite an ambitious piece of work, and really enjoying it, man. We'll actually play a little song from that in a little minute. In fact, what we'll do is we'll play a little song from that now. What would you say your favourite cut from that album is just now?
The one I posted up today was We Folk, the first one on side 2, just because it was such a mashup of different ideas, that I was into at the time, so it's kind of progressive, but it's 20 years old, but it still sounds like tomorrow.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, because Colin Simon's quite rightly asked, hi, when's the bus to YouTube? Which is correct. Colin knows the script, because what we're doing we're doing is we're going to switch to the YouTube channel. So for the first 10 minutes, we're on Twitch and we're on Facebook and all that stuff. But we are going completely on the YouTube channel. So if anyone's got any questions for Nigel, or do you want to hear more about what we're going to be discussing, then please go to YouTube. But check out this tune first. It's an amazing album. It's called Make Believe Love. And yeah, check it out.
Took my chances on my own just to see how far I could fly. For my records and all I own, never even said goodbye. I wandered aimlessly beneath the giant open sky, going nowhere and no real rush. All you can do is try. Strolling on the road again, trying to find some work and some new real friends. Well, no time to think of home. I've got enough troubles of my own. I wandered aimlessly beneath the giant open sky, going nowhere and no real rush. All you can do is try. All you can do is try. Wandered aimlessly beneath the giant open sky, going nowhere and no real rush. All you can do is try. Wandered aimlessly beneath the giant open sky, going nowhere and no real rush. All you can do is try.
Do you want weirdo or do you want itchy?
If you don't really know what's going on, there's a show that also doesn't know what's going on. Call that radio TV. You call that radio. Call that radio TV. You call that radio TV.
All right, stuff for Nigel. Just got to bring him back on a little second, but tune in here. If you're not on YouTube, you need to get the bus to YouTube. I love that part of Colin saying of Colin Mustard and the Dijon 5 fame. Get the bus to YouTube because we're just going to cut you off. We've got Nigel Clark live from Dodgy, absolute banger of a tune, man. And I'm just by Facebook. We'll see you on YouTube. Get the bus to YouTube. They're gone. Twitch is gone. By Twitch. We're just on YouTube now, man. It's been a work in progress, man. You know yourself doing the live streams, try to figure out what works best. And there's pros and cons to Facebook, but I find that YouTube's just been a bit better. So we notify people on Facebook, and then I can hopefully offer a better experience on YouTube.
That's great. You just got to learn. You just got to pick these things up as you go along, haven't you? You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that what you've got is really good for the. I think because you're doing the regular live things, you've got a community on Facebook. But what I find is that for the discoverability of interviews, like people don't really search Facebook for things that happened before. Well, I quite like the fact that YouTube will maybe recommend, something that we've done before. So hopefully, that people will watch this interview not just today, but maybe further down the line and hear more about this album. So let's talk about this album, man. It's an absolutely wicked album. How did it do it? Are you doing this all in the house yourself, or are you working with others?
No, it was pretty much. So it was as soon as I left Dodgy in 1998. God, that's how many years? 23 years ago. I went in. I moved out of London as well. I moved back to my my home sort of city of Birmingham, and I just got a bunch of musicians together. This is the year 2000, by the way. And I got a bunch of musicians together, and I recorded this album, Make Believe Love. Then when I finished it, I realized that I had no means to put it out. I had to go back to work. I had to give up music pretty much because I just didn't have any money. I hadn't planned for a solo career, really. So, I had to shelve it. So I started last year doing some recordings for a solo album. And I just thought, before I do anything, just get that out. So I spent, when we were locked down in COVID, I was working, trying to get it remastered and stuff like that and get it on vinyl. And we got it out. So I'm very thankful for that and the people that helped me do it. So fantastic.
Amazing stuff, man. I'm just going to go to some of the comments. We've got David Blair of Colonel Mustard saying, I think we've got a few of the Dijons in the house tonight. All right, Nigel, great to see you, mate. Love that tune. CD, album, and T-shirt just ordered. Good man, David Blair.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Thanks, man. It'll suit you well, man.
Hopefully see you this summer at a Scottish festival again. Peace and love, bro. Well, this one I met briefly before, Nigel. I don't even know if you remembered, but you were playing at Mugstock Festival, and it was between your set at Mugstock. You went up the hill to watch Mickey Nine. So I'm wearing their T-shirt today.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And you seem to be just. It was just great to see you guys. Just seem to be really enjoying Mickey Nines and just enjoying the vibe.
Great bands, really great band. I think I first saw them at a club in Edinburgh. I think it was Edinburgh. Yeah, and they just blew me away. Just how tight they were and how funky they were. Just loved the vibe, man. The masks, everything. And the Mugstock gig. I mean, I remember it. I think we might have been a little bit inebriated. I remember the name. I remember seeing. I knew Mickey Nines were there, but I think where was that Mugstock?
So it's a place called Mugdock Country Park, which is maybe like 20-minute drive outside of Glasgow.
That's right. I remember it now. We had a bonnet rave. The bonnet of our car got wet, and we all started scratching it, and it started making that sort of wah wah. And so we all got on it, and it was just brilliant. Great fun.
And Mickey Nines had the masks before it was popular, of course.
Yeah.
We've got Twitch, isn't Facebook booted off? Yeah, we've cut off Twitch and Facebook. We're just on YouTube for the rest of the show. You're safe here. Don't just get the bus to YouTube and you're fine. We're just talking about that last song we played. Kyle King's enjoying it. He said a real timeless charm to that song. Quality. We've got Sounds Great, says Lou. Angela says great tune. Looking forward to listening to the album.
Oh,
Soapy says love this. I've not listened to the album yet, but it's on February's list.
Get it on the list.
He actually does need a bit of time. Soapy's doing. Send me a link to your gig, Soapy, or the flyer, and I'll give it a wee shout out. Soapy's helping organise a big, massive charity gig that's taking place next week. I think it's next Thursday. I'll tell you a wee bit more about that later. We've got Petra saying, good point about folk not going to gigs. I saw that happening too. Yeah, man. I mean, it seems to be that the sort of the very mainstream artists were still selling lots of tickets. There was lots of, the big stadiums were selling out, but there was just a lot of sort of venues struggling, bands struggling to fill venues. And I mean, all you can really do is hope that maybe some people just couldn't be bothered. And they're like, maybe their friend's band were playing and they're like, I'm just going to sit and watch the telly and get a takeaway. Maybe, just maybe, this is going to make people realise what they had.
Yeah, I think the difference between 1996 and 2020 or 2021, and even for the is the networking of games and gaming and online gaming and communication via that medium. It is massive, as you all know. It's bigger than the film industry, the music industry, and pretty much every other industry. Gaming, and it's like you don't game when you're out. You're selective when you go out. The world is changing. Because the data tells you that the habits of people have changed, and now they're staying in gaming. So they're not going to go to those places. There are still a handful of people that will go and support local music, and they will always be there, but they're only a handful. It's a big question, isn't it? Grassroots music needs supporting by grassroots people rather than them spending their money on that enormous festival where they can get to see every band and never go out again and go back.
But it doesn't really suit government funding. It doesn't really suit the Tories to have people going out there and having ideas of their own, outside of the Daily Mail. It doesn't really suit them, so they're not really going to.
So maybe this is the backlash. This is the where the turnaround is, where people go, right, we've had enough of the opiate, which is PlayStation and the Xbox opiate for the masses, and they say we're not going to do it. But that's going to be hard, isn't it?
Well, I think I like the phrase opiate for the masses of computer games, because I've not played a computer game in about 10 years because they look amazing. But I had a Football Manager addiction. And I've been clean for about 12 years now. So, I've not touched a computer game since then. But really? They look amazing, and I can just see
you're looking great. You're looking great for it.
I've put on a few pounds as well.
Oh, haven't we all?
I've enjoyed my food. Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, as a performer, as an event organizer, or even like just going to festivals, you walk about so much. You're quite active. You've got to. I don't drive. I'm always just jumping on buses or trains or walking or cycling. But it just feels like, you know, I've not really got that far out of the house. And I don't know where it is you stay yourself, Nigel, but we're kind of in the city centre, so it's not like. It's not the greatest choice. It's not like we've got the countryside to just sort of walk out into. There's a couple of parks and stuff, but you know, it does feel like there's nothing happening. There's no point in going out, really.
Exactly the same here. I mean, I live in a market town. I live in the town centre. You know, we've got a leisure centre. We live on the River Avon, which is just over the back. These are old houses, so I live in the basement. Well, I've got a basement studio, so I've been spending most of my time in here, just messing around with lights and things and stuff like that from behind and getting ready for gigs, because it keeps me doing something that I normally do. The only part that's missing is meeting, talking, like you say, having a drink with people, you know, and that's what I'm really missing at the moment. I have I go into it quite a lot because, you know, we haven't spent any time with anybody, and I think people are really suffering. So, you know, just keeping in contact somehow, you know, and like you say, this sort of medium, you know, your radio show, it's not TV, but it's radio, whatever it is, you know, but it's really good because people can regularly tune in and see how other people are. That's what we need, you know, community stuff, don't we? You know? Yeah,
absolutely. You call that radio just to confuse it. This is definitely not radio.
Internet, community doesn't mean local either. Community can just mean anyone, anywhere, can't it?
Absolutely, man. I think there's a community of just people that love music and that don't need to wait until a band becomes famous, because it's like, you know, it's quite funny. There's a few people I know that were friends with Lewis Capaldi, who's became a big, massive pop star now. And, you know, he was just a boy from Livingston who struggled to sell a few tickets. And now he's famous. Now everyone will put the computer game down and want to go and see him in a stadium. So it's just like, it just seems to be there's a point where someone does better. But there's this underground community, and I think that's what we're really need to do, is start connecting these cities. Kind of mentioned something a bit quite similar to that earlier on, because we've got all these little amazing networks in each city, but how do we combine them together, gig swaps or something like that, so that we can somehow get these amazing bands touring further outside in their own city? Because it's not easy for the promoters either, because, you know, a band who's doing well in their own city, a promoter's like, well, nobody knows you here, so I can't really pay you. So it's it's a trade-off, because there's some really good promoters out there.
Problem. Yeah, always been the problem that, you know, you can be big in your hometown, but you can go. It was almost like when we made it big in the UK and we went to France, or went to Germany actually, and you were right back at the start again, paying in bars. You know, but you were playing bigger venues in the UK, but you had to start in Germany.
Was this before the mad success you had, though? Was the hits you had in Britain, did that translate over? Because they were so big here.
Yeah, it did translate to some. It translated to festivals and stuff like that. And the venues got a little bit bigger. Yeah, I mean, they were sizable venues, a bit like sort of, I'd say, you know, a 400 or 500 person venue in Europe. That's where we got to, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, we started doing pubs in France again when Staying Out for the Summer was in the charts. We were doing, you know, basic like little pubs and little clubs and stuff like that, which was great. But, you know, so you're always brought back down to earth, you know.
We've got some comments coming in. Oh, yes, an absolute legend to a mutual friend, Nigel. I think Teapot Studios. It's Robin, and we've had him on the show as well. Absolute legend. Just remembering the Ludlow sessions. Good to see you, man. What's the Ludlow sessions?
We did them back in '94, I imagine, probably. And Rob was the engineer on that. And it was in the Immaculate Falls. They had a country house, well, a sort of like barn and stuff. But they had a 16-track studio in, and we just went in there to do some B-sides. And then a couple of guys went to get some magic mushrooms, and we did 4 tracks. And they're kind of like the famous tracks that we did during that weekend. So, yeah, it was brilliant. And Rob was in charge of it all, trying to keep us all sane and stuff like that. It was good fun.
Yeah, check out Teapot Studios, everyone. And some amazing music came out of that place. Another legend here. We've got Frank Hedges in the comments here. Tribal
Yeah,
Man,
that's really good, isn't it?
and loads of mushies, says T-Point Studios.
Yeah.
That's where the magic came from. And another, all sorts of legends in the comments. Here's John McKinley, who does amazing work just filming around all the bands in Glasgow. He says, well said, Nigel, maybe post C19, if that happens, people will give themselves a shake and support the live scene.
I mean, I think
so. People will be wanting that.
It's perfect. People aren't going to want to stay in now, are they? Once they can go out, once things are on, people are going to want to go out because we've been forced to stay in. So obviously it's like mice. They've changed out. The mice are bored of staying in now. They want to go outside,
Absolutely. And they're wanting to go outside. And this is Soapy has just sent me the flyer for. I'm just going to give a wee shout to this because Soapy's done an amazing job and he's putting together a charity event. So I'm just going to upload that. Big ups to Soapy, who has got I don't know how he's got this lineup together, but he's done it somehow. He's just added Liam Gallagher, Sam Smith, Blossoms, Fontaines DC, an amazing band as well. Steve Mason's there, some absolute legends in this. So yeah, I think it's called Music Feeds, sponsored by Co-op, 28th to 29th of January, and I believe it's £15 for the 2 days, and you get 2 days of live music. Oh, also, of course, it's all on the computers, of course.
It's all into our homes. But well done, the Co-op, for sponsoring that. Well done. That's really good to see. Local business. Well, they're a cooperative, so it's nice to see them getting involved.
Yeah, I think they've been very generous. It's my understanding, and I think
it was about £1 million they put into it, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the money's getting split between food banks, and there's also going to be Spotlight, the charity for roadies and stuff like that, Soundtex,
right, brilliant.
Stuff like that. So it looks like there's some good stuff. Also, man, I like the fact that you've got in the background, you've got the projector screen, because I was hoping that my green screen would have arrived today, and my idea is that I was going to do exactly the same idea. So if we're talking about a new album.
That's it. I've got this sorted out. So I've got the new software, so I can move between things. I can speed things up, so I can it's wicked, man. It's just
cool.
You can do a lot of stuff with it, and so I've just got this wirelessly with my iPad. So I've been doing that today, been right pain in the ass, and then working on songs. So yeah, in my little studio.
What was the first song you ever worked on? Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
The Dodgy wrote.
Just you.
Do I remember the first song? Yeah, I mean, the first song I properly wrote was, that I actually finished. The first song that I actually finished, or because I knew it was worth finishing, was a song called Lovebirds, which was maybe Dodgy's second single, but we'd written it. But it was one of those songs when I knew that I'd found something that was really good, but I needed to find something else to go with it that was equally as good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it was just sitting around for a while.
Yeah, and so I tried it, and I still do this, and I think as an artist, it's a nice thing to pass on, actually, is I try my songs in so many different styles or tempos, keys. I find it really difficult to settle on one. So sometimes, invariably, I have 2 or 3 versions of the same song, but different music and different melody.
Does that not just annoy you when you've got choice?
It really annoys me, and it makes me feel that I can't make decisions. But and it's true, I can't. I find it really hard to say, stop or. But I love the challenge, and I love the sort of the hunger that I have for music and completing something that as simple as you humming something on a dog walk to getting home and creating music to that melody that you recorded in your phone. So it's taking the idea. It's a bit of a craft, really. If I'm honest, it's like you have an idea and you take it off the street and you form it into a bit of music, really.
And I like that as well. That these that you maybe write a song or you write a bit of a song and it's not very good, but it's got a good part of it. So maybe just got one good line in it, and you know that it's a good line.
Yeah.
And then maybe years later, you just need that one little line to fill it up. You need one to fill up the verse, and then it just comes back.
I think it does work like that. I have like about 300 songs on the go at the moment. None of them finished. I'm aware of them all. I just haven't got to the point where I'm going, well, that one will go with that one. It's like sort of, I just pick up another, I just keep going round them, pick them up, do a little bit more to them, record them and go, well, So hopefully the idea of this means that at some point I'm going to have a song bonanza. And there's going to be about 300 songs all coming into land at the same time.
And it's with this album. Did you? So I was listening to your album on Spotify there. So it's on that. Is it just on all the digital platforms, or have you got a favourite, or are you just trying to encourage everyone to get the CD?
As a sort of solo artist and a sort of I've started this record company or to actually put stuff out on vinyl and CD. So I have got the pink vinyl, which is there's only going to be a certain number of those ever made. So that's kind of like the idea of the collector. So that's really got some really great reviews for that. And then the CD obviously is something that people want to own. That's the only way we can support artists these days, really, because it's great that people listen to your music on Spotify, but it's when it turns, they have to like it first. So, go and listen to it. If you like it, buy it, that's all I can say really, but it's there for you to do. And there's links on Spotify to go and buy the album or, anything else. But it's just nice to feel that, like, as an artist speaking, that people are interested in following you and, they like you as an artist, so that's what it's about really, isn't it?
And with regards to what about the Dodgy songs? Are they still owned by the record company? I know you said you got a bad deal, which seems to be everyone seems to get a bad deal when they're young and they're having these hits and stuff. Have you? Is that still owned by the same record company, or how's that relationship?
Yeah, basically, Universal, whoever. We didn't sign to Universal in the first place, but the big giant companies bought up and ate up all the smaller companies, and so eventually everybody ends up on Universal, ironically. But yeah, yeah. But
and then the artists end up in Universal income, Universal credit.
Yeah. I shouldn't laugh because it's bloody true.
I know, it's true.
True. No, it is. You get from Universal to credit. Yeah. No, exactly. What we actually need is universal basic income. That's what we need. Yeah, so that's what happens. Basically, they tie you up, and then they tie you up, but they, contractually, I don't think we'll have the rights back to the songs, the recorded rights. We still own the publishing, so that's a nice thing to have. Every time it sort of gets played on something, hopefully it will get picked up by a game one day. And we'll all go.
Well, that's where the money is now, isn't it? I was actually spoke to Matthew. I had Matthew, your drummer from Dodgy, if people don't know, on the show way back in the spring last year, I think it was, or July, maybe in the summer, I'm not sure. But I was just talking about how big your songs actually are. Obviously, I grew up. I was at the right age group of. It was one of my, you were and still are one of my favourite bands. Listening to those tunes, but the tunes are so big, they just do appear on television shows, films, or like when you're in the supermarket. How often does that happen to you? You're just doing your shopping, and then Good Enough or something comes on the radio.
Yeah, of course, yeah, no, it does happen. It's a funny thing. It happens not all the time, but sometimes you walk in a bank. But I remember once going into a pub. The band, we were doing a gig in this town, and we went into this pub, and they were playing "Staying Out for the Summer," but it was a recording of another band doing it. So that's how they were getting around paying PRS. So they'd obviously got their pub house band to record all the songs they liked, and they just played it behind. So I don't know. And then anyway, we walked out of there thinking we were shocked and outraged. We weren't. There was a big queue, so it was too busy. So we walked out of there, went into another pub, and then Staying Out for the Summer was being played on the the real version.
Well, do you know what? Would you think we'd get away with playing it right now, Staying Out for the Summer? Or do you think the YouTube robots would get us?
People just put a link up so people watch it when they want.
Yeah. I think we did play some Dodgy tunes last time when Matthew was on, but so I think that they let you, but they don't monetize it. Well, they get the money for it, or I don't know if you get the money for it, but the Universal gets the money for it if we play it, which is fine because this show has just recently became monetized, but like we're talking pennies here. So I don't mind playing a dodgy song and giving the money to Universal. It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that.
No,
You know what? You've not sold that to me. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like a big deal to me. Play one of my own songs. Play one of my new songs.
Yeah, I would love to play one of yours. Let's focus on the new stuff because it is an amazing album. What will we play next then?
Let's play Don't Be Denied, which is probably the most dodgy-like song, but it's my experience of the music industry in 3.5 minutes.
And okay, man, I'm just bringing that up just now. And also just so I can put the link in the comments. So for people to buy the vinyl or the CD or the T-shirt direct, where is the best way they can do that?
It's called Townsend Music. Townsend Music. You order it online. Townsend Music, yeah.
Well, I'll put that in the comments while we're watching this, so people can. Hopefully, a few people will chip in and buy it.
A link, maybe I'll try and find a link online.
Amazing stuff. Check it out. This is Don't Be Denied off the new Nigel Clark album, Make Believe Love.
There've been days when I looked at you, deep in your eyes, see nothing new. Don't know where you're going, it all seems so fast. We've come too far to let this pass. There've been times when I see right through all that they're doing, or they're doing it too. It's none of my business, but it must be a crime. We come all this way to waste our time. It's never too late. If you feel it in your heart, then hold on. Don't let it wait. Don't be denied. We're looking for quick ways from A to B. You miss the point far too frequently. You stumbled on success and played the game. Now you're a star suffering from fame. You took all the offers, but under your nose. You could have took taxis, preferred limos. You listened to the hype and believed it all. Never realized you had far to fall. No, it's never too late. If you feel it in your heart, then hold on. Don't let it wait. Don't be denied. Don't be denied. La 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 la. In your heart, then hold on. You don't let it wait. Don't be denied. Don't be denied. Don't be denied. No, it's never too late. 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 Don't be denied. Don't be denied. Don't be denied. Don't be denied.
You call that radio?
Call that radio.
What about the people who hate it on me?
Right, and then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute.
That's mad, isn't it? Is this a Netflix thing?
It's actually a podcast.
What the fuck's a podcast?
You know, it's kind of like a radio show.
Call that radio.
Yeah.
And is there a way we can do something like that?
I couldn't help it.
By injection inside or
Yeah,
I think so, because I think just paint in general, because I think like my poem is in my painting.
No, cut. I should call that radio TV. We're live with Nigel Clark. Just want to give a quick shout out to what's happening the rest of this week. Tomorrow, we've got How I Got Into the Top 5 of the Christmas Charts by calling Boris a fucking cunt. We're going to hear the story about how the cunts were number 2, I think, the day before the Christmas charts happened, and then ended up number 5, which is still not bad. It's just a shame that we missed out on the embarrassment of 2020 being a song called Boris Johnson is a fucking cunt being number 1. Was it a conspiracy? Did a bunch of Tories buy a bunch of other pop music so it didn't happen? We'll find out tomorrow. Then on Friday, we've got the amazing Dope Sick Fly live from Capture Works, a full live set. And if there's anything like last week, we showed Killer Whale, which is Mickey Nine, Doogie's other band, and Root System on the live premiere. And there was loads of people tuned in and dancing away. So hopefully we can get more of the same on Friday night. On Saturday, we've got Rebecca Radical, who is going to be, it's her birthday party. She's a young punk from Fife who does amazing DIY stuff, both music and fashion. And she's just got a big a group of amazing musicians and poets. And Joe Dark, techno DJ set to close the night off. That's on Saturday night. I think Monday we're taking it off because it's Burns Supper and there's loads of good stuff on that night. We'll be doing our Burns Supper the following Saturday. We'll be announcing that lineup tomorrow, I hope. I think we've got an amazing lineup. We should be able to announce that tomorrow. But next week, we've got loads of stuff like Paul McColfie, let me show High Times Taggart and stuff like that. He's an absolute legend as well. So it's a busy couple of weeks ahead on You Call That Radio TV. Right now, we're live with Nigel Clark. And Nigel, a lot of love for that song that we just played. We've got Raymond Dito saying excellent tune. Kyle saying quality tune again. Good tune, says Alan. Sounds a happy song. Thanks for the cheery vibes, says Sharon. Tune, Nigel. Nice and mellow, says Mark McInnes. And Alison Watwell says, I really like this. What's PRS?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't get me started on PRS. I've had a bad experience with PRS. The best way to describe them is when if you've running a small pub or a business and you play music, the radio in the background, then you're going to be expected to pay probably quite a lot of money in order. And then the idea is that money should then go back to the artist. But between PRS and the record labels and everyone else taking their cut, it doesn't always work out as well as you'd like. And PRS just seem to sit on untold millions of unclaimed money. And I personally have got a bit of a grudge against them because they deleted 2 years of gigs from me when I tried to they changed their website, lost all my details, and I've been passed from pillar to post for years trying to get that money paid. So I'm not the greatest fan of PRS, but lots of my friends are saying that they're good. They've helped them with funding their albums and stuff like that. So they're not all bad. They're supposed to be a force for good, but they could do better. I don't know if you would agree with that, Nigel.
I would always agree that people could do better. I would always agree with that, surely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about PRS. I know I get most artists that were signed to major records labels will get a sort of publishing deal because it is mainly set out for those sort of companies. You do it once, you get people regularly to do it. Yeah, it can work. It's got its benefits, but I'm sure that, in trying to track down rights for artists that have written songs and stuff like that, it could all be improved, obviously. But yeah, well, thank God there's someone like that.
Yeah, and we've got Lou saying, have you got the door-to-door piper for Burnsney? So I'll just fill you in this, Nigel. Basically, we've got for 10 years we've been doing, or maybe even longer, we've been doing the Friction Burns Supper, which is an alternative Burns Supper, because up in Scotland, people will charge £60 for haggis, neeps and tatties, and it's a very elite poetry scene, kind of posh stuff. So the alternative Burns Supper was, we will do it for a £5. We'll feed everyone haggis, neeps and tatties and give them a free shot of whiskey. This year, obviously, we can't do it. We're going to do it virtually. But we thought what we could do is, we've got a friend who runs a kitchen. We're going to do a haggis delivery service. And we are playing with the idea that we'll have a bagpiper piping the haggis to people's doors. We are thinking about it. We're working on it. Gordy, I know you're watching it. Gordy's my number one choice, but he's got a bit shy these days. So we need to talk him into doing it, or find another paper.
This is quite a big operation. So how big's the haggis got to be, or how many haggis?
Well, we've got
to feed the
town. We're going to need to start catching the haggis tomorrow, I think. Do you know what I mean? When the from the morning, tomorrow morning.
I've always wondered, are they sort of like, do you shoot them, or do you fish them? Is that where they come from, in the deep lakes?
They're kind of like they've kind of like little wee animals. They've got one leg shorter than the other, and they run in circles, so they're quite easy to catch. We've got some comments coming in from Lou. Also said, Paul and I have been saying, if we ever win the lottery, we would buy a country house and build a studio for musicians to use for free. Everyone, go and buy Lou a scratch lottery ticket.
Hold on, if everyone was listening and shared this, eventually it could be like one of those, fundraising things, and it's only £1. Everyone put £1 in, and it takes a million people. We get their house. Musicians get one good piece of news this year.
I'm up for that. John McKinley's saying, Mark, my son does a gig swap thing with their Club Sabbath gigs in the Priory. They get a couple of bands from down south, reverse situation, sending local bands down to London and Manchester. That's brilliant, man. We need to get your son on the show. He does a brilliant job, and I hope that the Priory is one of the venues that can remain open during this tough time, because we need these venues where we need the studios. Like Carlton Studios are doing a crowdfunder just now. Sonny Govan, the radio station that looks after the underground, is struggling just now as well. So we've got to do our best to try and support not just the musicians, but the venues, the studios that look after people. I mean, are you seeing similar things down where you are? Is there pubs, venues sort of shutting down, doing crowdfunders and stuff like that?
Yeah, pretty much. I think a lot of the venues did get some funding. I mean, to be fair, we haven't got that many venues near me. I live near a place called Worcester Sauce, and there's a couple of venues there, but that are linked with pubs. There's only one venue that isn't entirely just a venue, and he closed down at the start of lockdown, and he's not bothered to open it back up. He will do, because he owns the building, but he does it on his own terms, so that's good. But it's hard for all the people that work there, because they're not obviously earning money. They've had to look at new jobs. So yeah, it's been very difficult for everybody, hasn't it? Really, and we're all a bit tired of it now. But we're doing something good, It's been really strict. Well, it's stricter in Scotland in general, but Glasgow especially, hasn't really been trusted with even pubs or beer gardens that much since lockdown began. We had a period of time where we were allowed pints and stuff, but it's been pretty much no go, and especially music wise, it's been just unheard of. There's not really been any live music or anything like that. SWG3 did try a thing, but apart from that, there's not been really. All we can really do is hope that maybe when the weather gets better and the NHS is under less pressure, that maybe we can get some outdoor events. I think surely the idea of maybe like an acoustic set outdoors with deck chairs, but Scotland's got the problem with weather as well. I mean, I know, it hasn't everywhere. It's just, the thing is, we've had it so good. We only realise now that we've had it so good, and now we've got to start again. And the only people that will want to start again are people that really love it. So that'll be pretty good in itself, because everyone will be on the same page. But I do feel that there's a bit of a start-up going on here, really. It's like, unfortunately, I think, some of the venues will survive. But it's about, it's a supply and demand. There's going to be bands. There's got to be an audience to go and watch them.
Absolutely. Some more haggis news. John McKinley says there's plenty of free-range haggis up here in Castlemilk. Castlemilk is a good place for the fresh haggis. Brilliant. Go on, Gordy, on the haggis. Yeah, go on, Gordy. Get it done. Do the piping. you shoot them, and then if you get the pellet, it's equivalent of the wishbone. And the Conservatives and Unionists never trusted, says Kyle. We got great tune from Angela. And why don't we go back a little bit again, just to talk about your influences, because I can just hear lots of a wide variation of influences on this new album. So what would you say was there ever like any bands that you grew up listening to and you went, I want to do that, or did you just kind of fall into it? Or
yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? It's like, I sort of got into music a different way. I mean, I guess I did like the first Clash album and the second and third Clash album and the fourth and fifth. I liked their whole career over decades, so they were a big influence. But the sort of new wave punk scene was very, very strong for me and still is. You know, bands like Talking Heads and Television and Psychedelic Furs and The list is endless, really. I do like a lot. I like a lot of krautrock, the Germans, you know, krautrock bands like Can and Harmonia. I like a lot of experimental music. I like a lot of drone music. I like a lot of tape loop music. I like a lot of soul music, Northern soul, you know. So I mean, it's a total mix. I like a lot of New Orleans soul, you know, Lee Dorsey and Alan Toussaint and stuff like that. And then I like a bit of Velvet Underground and the underground grime scene, you know, Iggy and the Stooges, the Distorters, you know, and people that are into distorting noise. So Dead Kennedys, you know, all sorts. It's a bit of a wide range,
we do a thing in the show called the Name Drop, which is did you ever get a chance to share the stage or meet any of your heroes?
Yeah, I'm not really good at that sort of thing. I just sort of have I got any good stories about meeting people? Yeah, I met Midjure. We met Midjure. He was really nice. He was kind of very easy to meet. Some people are quite difficult to meet because they make it quite difficult for you. Do you know what I mean?
Midjure, though, that's a name drop.
Name drop.
You call that radio?
So that's the name drop, Midjure. And what was the maddest gig? Because obviously, I was talking to Matthew before about it. I mean, we looked at the Glastonbury lineup you were on in your heyday as well. Like, it was what an incredible lineup that was in Glastonbury. Was that the kind of biggest, maddest gig for you, or was there any others?
Do you know what? I mean, that's like, I mean, you should, as a singer in a band playing all these festivals, be able to remember them. But you can't. I must be so focused or something on what I'm doing that I have no recollection of them at all. I can't. And so, or no, I have recollection of them, but I can't work out if they were my favourite gig or not. So it's like really difficult. One thing I do know is that, you know, when I look back to a lot of the, you know, the posters and stuff like that are online of the gigs, I realised that I played the same day as David Bowie on the same stage. The same day as Neil Young, you know, and
wow.
you know, and it's just like, you know, and I just wasn't aware of it because we were like doing so much. We'd go there in a coach, we'd do the gig, and then we'd have to go to France or something the same day. That's how crazy it was. So I didn't know that David Bowie was playing 3 bands after me, you know, and you know, and it's like, and that Neil Young was on later on in the early evening, you know, and it's like, oh my God, this is 20 years later and I'm regretting, like, you know. So there you go. It's like, you know, I don't remember. I mean, all the gigs I did were.
So when you say your focus for your gig, is the focus? Do you get nervous with it, or is it just like a stoic kind of focus?
I just have these things I've noticed it when I've been doing lockdown gigs, which has been really good for my sort of. I don't know, nervousness, I suppose. But like, I do worry. My main concern is that I'll forget lyrics. Or, yeah, that's my main concern, is that I'll just get to a verse and I'll just blank. And if that's my biggest worry, then it can't be that bad, really, can it? So, you know.
I've had that. There was one particular song we used to do, and it had quite a long intro as our first song before I said my first line. And I used to get like a heart flutter round about, you know, the 50-second, 1 minute, 20 second, when I went, okay, I'm about to come on here. And I don't actually remember the words here right now. This split second, I can't remember the first bit. And if you can't get your first line right, you might as well just call the gig off. Right, stop the music, I'm off. But it's never actually happened. Luckily, there's something about the bass line or the music. It all comes together. And
I
then
was
usually,
wincing then. I was wincing when you were describing it. 'Cause I was like, it was like crushing my stomach. I was like, I know that feeling so much. Then you
everyone
start
in the crowd's
thinking
having
about
such a
it.
good time. Yeah, you're just everyone's ready, and you're just because it's and after you get the first line out. I mean, it's obviously I'm sure I've made mistakes with my words. Like but once everything's in motion, you just kind of it doesn't matter if you get a word wrong or anything like that. But it's that first line's important though. I feel like there is a lot of pressure on that
first line.
first
Yeah,
line.
it's kind of like a lot of things. It's like I heard someone the other day. I can't remember. It was, I don't know. Someone just saying that like you get that first song out of the way. So I normally start with a song that I haven't got to think about. Do you know what I mean? Don't ever make it difficult and go, I want to play my new song first. I don't try not to do that anymore. I have done, and you're on. It just makes your whole night so stressful that you get like this thing. So you build it up so much, and then you do it, and then you get this overswell of relief that fucks the rest of your gig up.
What about playing the hits? Obviously, I'm sure that you've possibly got a bit of a love-hate relationship with because you'll have people turning up that just want to hear the hits. And obviously you'll have I would imagine, a bit of a love-hate relationship because obviously you want to play new songs as well, or are you just happy to play the hits? Where do you stand on that?
Well, I try and work out a sort of happy medium where both me and the audience are kept happy.
Yeah.
So I just, that's about it really. As long as they're happy and as long as I feel that I've pushed myself or I've made something special about this evening, then I'm happy, and that is, I've done a lot of solo gigs recently, or, in the last 5 years, a lot. And I've done a lot of band gigs, but the solo gigs are more of a challenge because you're on your own, you're on your own and you're sort of like, and that's hard. But I really like challenges, so.
And is there any chance of after lockdown, once things are back to a bit of normality, is there a chance of a Dodgy tour or a Dodgy gig, or what's the situation there?
Yeah, I mean, we've been planning one for ages, but obviously everything is in the planning mode at the moment because no one, again, I've got a 2021 calendar and I'm struggling to put anything in apart from bins, and stuff like that on it. So it's really difficult to put anything in the diary at the moment. So we're just not going to, carry on as we can.
With the live gigs that you're doing, the live streams gigs, how often is it you're doing them? And you've got one this week, is that right? We've just give that a wee plug.
Yeah, I've got one tomorrow night at 9 o'clock in this room. So meet me here on a night. Here, it'll look the same. I'll have a few lights going on, and I was always trying like put a little. So people say, "Oh yeah, your live gig was really good. Thanks to all of you." And I'm like, all of it's just me. I just get mad on sort of like, how do I put visuals behind me and and stuff like that, and how do I get a good sound? So I try and push it so I can get in a good sound, and I'm really happy, and because it's what I want to put out there, that it can be done. We can still have a good time. And it can still sound good, even if you're not in in a venue, you're at home. So I'm still trying to push that and make gigs a bit of a reality.
And that's tomorrow night on Nigel. Is it your Facebook artist page?
Yes, it is.
So it's Nigel Clark Facebook artist page. I'll put that in the comments. Nigel, just to sort of wrap things up, we'll have one more song from the album to finish it off. What would be a good way to end it?
That's oh God, that's a difficult. I reckon let's go with Demonstrate. Oh no, is that on there? Because on the album, is it on there?
Well, yeah, I think it should be, man. If it's on the album,
the last song.
Just find out just now, man.
I don't even know myself.
I don't know if it is actually. Hold on, let me just check.
There's the last song.
So, yes, I've got it. Got it here, man. So, man, I've got that lined up. So, obviously, like everything right now, we don't really know what's going to happen. But tomorrow, you will be playing a live gig on your Facebook page.
Well, I've just sent you the link. Just put a hashtag in front of that, and that'll take you to the page. This is it. We don't know what's going on. There's one sure thing tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. As long as the internet don't die, I'll be playing live for an hour.
Okay, I'm just going to put that up on the screen just now. So if you're on Facebook, guys, it's Nigel Richard Clark at Nigel Richard Clark on Facebook.com. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock on Facebook. To get the CDs, the vinyl, the digital, and the t-shirt from the amazing new album, go to that. I'll put the links in the comments again for everyone. And Nigel, Joe says Nigel's lockdown gigs are great, well worth tuning in for. They are one of the better ones that you will find on the internet. We've got Soapy's asking, is the love heart behind Nigel influenced by the Belladrum Festival?
Oh, that was a good festival. It probably is, actually. You can see that. That's been my slogan all year, really. There you go. Oh, get out of the way. There you go.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So we're missing Belladrum this year. We had a brilliant time there last year. It was a fantastic festival. I loved it. It was amazing. Yeah, there you go. That was a great memory.
I go out on stage for a song with Calder Mustard during it, and that's the biggest crowd I've ever played to.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's so much fun. When gigging does resume, venues are going to struggle to fit everyone in. Well, hopefully that's the case.
Let's hope so.
Because I think there's definitely going to be enough bands. I mean, I think because you've got all the bands that had plans for 2020, all the bands that were taking a year out. I've now got all the bands from 2021. So there's and then maybe there's a lot of bands out there who maybe didn't really realise what they had with live music that are now probably thinking they were done, but they're like, oh, actually, I want to come back now when things open up again.
If I'm honest, I think that it all got a little bit out of hand fee-wise. I think bands were asking far too much money and artists were getting far too much money, charging punters £100 just for a normal seat and then 200 for a VIP. I think everyone who was paying, I mean, for me, they're stupid to pay it. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't do that, and it's not. I suppose that's where we are different in our leagues. I just think gigs should be cheaper. I think £20 is a good price to pay for a big band, but I think like a tenner, fiver for small bands and all the way up. You've got to have some aspiration to go to, but you've got to start off cheaper.
Absolutely. And we've got John saying, always happy to hear new stuff at gigs. Even all the classics had to be played as new songs at one time. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Well done, John.
True. One last question from Paul. Nigel, you mentioned the Clash. Did you like Big Audio Dynamite?
Yeah, I did actually. I thought that was a good trajectory. I liked some of the songs. I wasn't like I wasn't a massive fan, but the ones I do know, yeah, I really like. I think they pushed the guitar idea and the guitar band to somewhere different, somewhere new, which was good and admirable.
Amazing stuff, Nigel. Thank you so much. I'll be tuned in tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who supports this show as well. Yeah. We're here most nights at 7 o'clock. And if you want to help us build this platform, and hopefully we can do another live gig, because we've got a wee venue where we can actually do live stream gigs from. That's really good, Nigel. But obviously it's expensive to run it. So if people do want to support this show, go to patreon.com/YouCallThatRadio, and there's a PayPal link there as well. I'll put the links in the comments for Nigel's new album. It's an amazing album. Do check it out. And this is a good way to end it. It's the last song of the album. It's the last song of the night. It's Demonstrate. What's it about?
This is about a meeting I had in 1997. We were playing the Liverpool Royal Court, and I'd found out from my wife that there was a strike going on with the Liverpool Dockers. There's a news blackout on them. So before the gig, actually, I had some journalists waiting to interview me when we were like riding high in the charts. And I said, if you want to interview me, then come to the Dock Road and we'll go and speak to the Liverpool Dockers. And we all went down there and we interviewed the Liverpool Dockers and gave our voice to them and their things. And then the next day on TV, we wore a Dockers t-shirt and they started to get the support that they deserved from the rest of the people because there was a news blackout on them. So don't always believe what you read in the press.
Absolutely, man. That's a brilliant story, man. Well done for doing that. And thank you very much for being a guest tonight, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. I'll be tuned in tomorrow. Good luck for the show tomorrow night. And keep up the good work. Everyone, go and buy the album. It's a cracker. Thank you, Nigel.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
they came, took away my rights. I was told that I was to blame, that this would be my last night. Still they gave no reason, no, nothing did they say. Well, I knew someone was lying, and I've been searching since that day. So down the river, no one stands for me. Just empty houses, tired lonely. When we were working this place at start, now no one comes within a mile. Need and stamped upon, tried to kill my soul. Union had done a deal, left me on the door. We all had paid our dues, right up till that day. We're sorry our hands are tied, it's all that they would say. So down the river, no one stands for me. Just empty houses, tired lonely streets. When we were working this place at start, now no one comes within mile. Back out in the papers, wouldn't let them have their say. They fast rocking under the Tories, but this had to be okay. But he's outnumbered the strikers, breaking the law now, moving on. They beat them with rough assumptions, they held together strong. We're searching for the reason, came back here to say that if you need someone to believe in, then we've been looking the wrong way. So down the river, flowing out, past empty houses, tired lonely streets. When we were working this place at start, now no one comes, no one smiles. No one smiles. Set the record straight. Gotta demonstrate. Gotta demonstrate. Set the record straight. Gotta demonstrate. Set the record straight. Gotta demonstrate. Gotta demonstrate. Set the record straight.
Brilliant stuff. Demonstrate by the amazing Nigel Clark. Brilliant to have him on the show today. Absolute legend. Go and get the album. It's the best place to do it. It's on Spotify and all the usual places if you want to stream it. But if you want to buy a CD or a vinyl, a digital download, then the link is nigelclark.tmstor.es. I think it's Tomorrow's Stores or something like that. So yeah, go and support Nigel. The album is absolutely amazing. Go and check it out. Some comments. Thanks again, John McKinley. Thank you, John. Yes, another gig, says Ali. We are working on it. I was thinking March, but there's a chance we might have one in February, but we do need to get the Patreons up in order to do it. I lost a fortune at the last one, so it's a bit of a risky manoeuvre for me to do. Also, I think we got up to 206 patrons, but I think we're back down to 203 or something like that. It's January, people are skint, so understand that. But if you can afford to stick in a couple of pounds a month, it makes all the difference. Go to patreon.com/You Call That Radio, or if you just want to make a one-off donation, then there's a PayPal link there as well. This show is not possible without you, so thank you to everyone who has been supporting. We'll try and reward you with a proper gig very, very soon, and a big mad raffle is also. We're back tomorrow to find out how a song called Boris Johnson is a fucking cunt nearly became Christmas #1. It ended up in the top 5, but it was so close to being #1. It was #1 on the day before the charts were announced. So we've got that tomorrow to look forward to. Friday, we have the amazing Dope Sick Fly live from Capture Works. So it'll be good to see everyone tuned in. And also, if you want to support the show as well, if you've enjoyed the show, I know you've been really busy on the live chat. We tried this last night and it worked really well. If everyone enjoyed it, just go into underneath this video, just the normal comment section, and leave a comment saying what you thought of Nigel's new tunes or his interview, and that it helps engagement. Or share the video if you think some of your friends might enjoy it. We've had an amazing show already. All week it's been amazing. Last night was really interesting. We're talking about social media, live streams, and how to get 1,000 fans in a year with the amazing Tragic Ahara and El Mugged. That was a great show last night. And the night before, we had Mary Kiani of TTF fame, live from Australia. She was some buzz as well. So if you've not watched these shows, then go back and listen to them. We also have the audio podcast is out now. You call that audio, Ask Me Anything. And that's kicking off the old school audio podcast that we used to do. And the big one's the Friction Burn Supper next week, man. I'm absolutely buzzing for that one. So I'll hopefully see you there. Alison said, what was it? Love Belladrum. I just want to say, Mark, I realised not long ago, I was in your house a few years ago after a Signal Go gig. I was with Audrey. I think we left before the police arrived. That was a wise move to leave when you did. Great show, Mark. Encore. Looking forward to that one, the Mora. Absolutely. Mary was epic. She was absolutely. If you've not watched the Mary Kiani one, go and check it out. It was a good show. And I was going to let you go back to watch the inauguration. Just like I don't know if any are like aware of the QAnon like conspiracy theories and stuff. So I've just been getting right into them, and apparently all sorts of stuff's going to happen during the inauguration. According to them, everything from Chinese soldiers to alien invasions to a blackout to Donald Trump becoming king again to all the Democrats being arrested, you know, Hillary and Tom Hanks and all that. So it's really exciting. Everyone's tuned in, waiting, getting the popcorn out, getting ready for the show to happen. And I've read so many of them that I know I'm actually wanting to go and watch it just to see if anything happens. But I don't think anything is going to happen, I'm afraid, because none of these predictions ever happen. Next one, can't wait for tomorrow's show too. It's going to be a good one, but definitely parental advisory. If you've got any kids that are watching watch this show, maybe watch it first, because it's the cunts or cunt in the gang, so I expect a few swear words. I was ready for a night out with Mary. She was full of energy. She was full of energy, And that's what it's all about, man. I'm glad that you got some energy out of that. I got some energy out of that. So thank you to everyone supporting the show. Thank you to Nigel Clark. Go and get his album. And yeah, we'll just leave with the coming soon video because I keep on forgetting to play that. So this is what's coming up. Thank you. Good night. See you tomorrow.
More like a TV show, TV show, TV show. On almost every night, every night, every night. It's gonna be streaming live, streaming live, streaming live. You call that radio, radio, radio. More like a TV show, TV show, TV show. On almost every night, every night, every night. It's gonna be streaming live, streaming live, streaming live. You call that radio. You call that radio. You call that